Great news, Ryan. We have discovered the secret to time travel because we're being throttled back into the year 2012, just a decade earlier, and now are once again mired in the debate about Chick-fil-A's politics. Senator Lindsey Graham said on Wednesday, he tweeted, "I've always thought Notre Dame was one of the greatest universities in America, if not the world. It's disappointing to hear some Notre Dame students and faculty want to ban Chick-fil-A from doing business on campus because they disagree with the values held by Chick-fil-A's founders." What a dangerous precedent to set. It's interesting because we were having this conversation back in 2012-ish, and this was kind of an early flare-up in what became the Trump-era culture wars about so-called woke capital. And here we are, like, once again, Lindsey Graham making this sort of big pledge to stand up for Chick-fil-A, to go to war over the values that Chick-fil-A stands for. Actually, a lot of people on the right have been upset with Chick-fil-A recently for sort of walking back its prior stances on what we're seen as sort of culturally conservative positions.
Right, and this was around the time that the Supreme Court was green-lighting marriage equality. And
yes.
I think the CEO had said a few public things that were hostile to it, and there were calls for boycotts. And Alan West, who, when he was a congressman, was actually a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm having a flashback to these moments. He actually brought Chick-fil-A to a CBC meeting as a way to troll everybody, and then afterwards said, well, everybody ate it. Well, of course everybody ate it. You were in charge of bringing lunch. That's what you brought for lunch.
And it's delicious.
People were hungry, and Chick-fil-A is delicious. And I feel like most people have moved past it because that particular fight in the culture war is over.
Yeah.
Like, there might be a few people still in the jungle fighting over marriage equality that haven't, like, gotten the pamphlets that we've dropped on them that this is over. I mean, at Notre Dame, you can see why that would be a more acute conflict. I guess it's, to me, it's if somebody has a bad opinion on something when the war is completely over, that's just amusing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a threat to anybody's ability to marry the person they love that somebody has an opinion about that. It was a threat in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, but once the Supreme Court has said that it's legal, and once the culture broadly has accepted it as part of it, I don't care what the Chick-fil-A vice president thinks. Well, it's interesting because the only people I think who haven't moved past this is a lot of people on the right who have been extremely disappointed to see Chick-fil-A under new leadership cave to some of these pressures and the boycotts because now it's not the marriage equality fight. It's the fight for sort of the full slate of transgender rights, and you can just keep going down the line, LGBTQIA+. And so that's really where this has become a flare-up once again. And the marriage equality fight has definitely evolved into the fight over the T part of LGBT, and that's where Chick-fil-A stopped giving to the Salvation Army, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes as well, because of problems or disagreements that in 2012, a different version of Chick-fil-A wouldn't have probably stopped giving their donations to. And so on the right, Chick-fil-A is actually sort of like, that's where the problems are now. And what's interesting on top of all of this is that you have these groups, Salvation Army, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Chick-fil-A not giving them money anymore. The students, I don't understand what their objection to Chick-fil-A is at this point. Like, if Chick-fil-A, it's worked. The boycott pressure, and I don't even know if it was so much boycotts because Chick-fil-A's business was still fine. I think it was just more, we talked about this in the What America's Thinking block, about how these corporations are more and more responsive to young people because young people are becoming a bigger part of their consumer base. And what is the fight in Notre Dame? Like, what's the thing that people are upset about? I think Chick-fil-A still really broadly has this. So it says, this is from the student newspaper, 2 students opposed Chick-fil-A's addition to Notre Dame's campus largely due to its, quote, long history of antagonism towards the LGBTQ plus community and has given past donations significant sums to groups that oppose LGBTQ rights. Those are quotes CNN pulled from the student newspaper. And so it's the history. Oh, they're opposing them from the left. Yes. Oh, I thought people at Notre Dame were opposing them from the right for caving to. Okay. No, and what's interesting is that they have this, they're saying it's the history of Chick-fil-A's anti-LGBTQ activism when actually the company has walked that back. You'd think carrot, stick, what are you doing here if you're the students? Like, it worked. Right. And they're still closed on Sundays, Chick-fil-A is, which I have always felt like it'd be nice if they would like subcontract out to somebody else on a Sunday, so we can. Because it's like, oh, I'd love to go to Chick-fil-A. Oh, it's Sunday. I guess I'm boycotting them today.
Yeah.
It makes me pine for the 90s when students boycotted every corporation on campus. I mean, yes. Starbucks tried to come to my college, and everyone on campus was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're not having Starbucks. Are you crazy? And it had nothing to do with what their opinion was on some cultural issue or not. It was, we didn't want the kind of the corporatization of the academic experience. If you look at campuses now, the one I went to has at least one Starbucks, and a lot of these other schools are just shot through with fast food chains.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's I think that shifted along with I say the left, but I really mean sort of the centrist Democratic or the centrist left's position on corporations, right? And as corporations are sort of more friendly to you, at least superficially, on these cultural agenda items, then there's a warmer relationship. And so I don't know what on earth is going on at Notre Dame. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it's sort of like, in the way that the sense that you're pining for the 90s, it's like maybe these students are pining for the 90s too. They go into Urban Outfitters and see all the 90s clothes, and they're like, well, we need to bring back the 90s campus politics.
Right, but then you got to get rid of every corporation.
Every single one of them gone.
No labels.
No Starbucks. Yeah, Starbucks is gone. Let's see if that would actually...
No logo. Sorry, not no labels.
Yeah, well, all right, let's see if they apply it to Starbucks as well.
Hopefully they do. We'll have more for you right after this.